These cars have to be lived. You're commander of a ship, like a steamer. You can leave normal life behind you.
Let's have fun!
We picked up the Maybach in the morning. We didn't give it back in the evening. This is absolutely the ultimate car ever developed, ever built, and it will not happen again.
These vehicles are unmatched in beauty, dependability, and luxury. The sheer splendor. It's not just a car, it's a work of art.
Introducing the Maybach SW38, built in 1937. 100 years ago, the Maybach brand started building cars that were and are the epitome of luxury and a symbol of perfect German engineering.
Just listen. Over 80 years old and running silky smooth. There's also a principle involved. Preventing items of precious cultural heritage from being forgotten, or even worse, being scrapped. You could compare it to the 1954 World Cup final, West Germany versus Hungary in Bern, Switzerland. The Wankdorf Stadium has its own history, but it will always be remembered for that moment in soccer history, or even German history in general. It's of everlasting significance. It's like Italy without pizza. And that's how you have to imagine Germany in the 1920s or 30s or even earlier. A Germany without Maybach engines. There'd simply be something missing.
For Helmut Hofmann, it's a special hobby and a passion. He's come to this Museum of Technology in southwest Germany to meet up with a fellow Maybach enthusiast.
I've clocked up over 50,000 kilometers in this one. We restored the leather. We've continuously done little repairs, but it's never stopped running. There's patina on the driver's seat again. Time flies.
Helmut Hofmann is a member of the ultra-exclusive Maybach Club. There are just 158 vehicles still in existence from the first generation, built between 1921 and 1941. Then, as now, they have price tags similar to luxury villas. And the proud owners of the cars are happy to share their pride and joy.
The Maybach Club is like a family. We all know each other. That's nice because nobody needs to show off or be a big shot. We're the same crowd. The atmosphere is really relaxed.
For over half a century now, Maybach owners have been meeting up to embark on group trips, during which they also share their thoughts and experiences on this extraordinary marque. What they also share is an absolute love of their prized cars.
Professor Ballweg quit his law degree and spent 3 years training to be a mechanic so he could properly understand his car. Then he completed his studies and ended up as a professor of jurisprudence and serviced his Maybach himself. He'd take off his suit, put on his overalls, crawl under the chassis on a creeper board and get to work. That is the Maybach Club.
The club is open to anyone who owns a Maybach from the pre-Second World War era. But getting your hands on a car of this caliber is not easy.
You have to quietly submit an application. And if the people from the club reckon, okay, if you get a Maybach, then you'll get an insider tip. You can't get a Maybach at an auction. And don't bother checking dealers or whatever. Maybachs change hands very discreetly. These cars still exert a fascination, and why only really becomes apparent when you're on the road.
This is the top-of-the-range Maybach, the Zeppelin DS8. Although sometimes Hermann Leyer likes a chauffeur to do the driving, allowing him to lap up the luxury in the back seat. The standard features even include a cigar cutter. But what also makes a ride in a Maybach a special experience, of course, is the 12-cylinder 200-horsepower engine. That translates into speeds of 160 kilometers per hour, nothing to sneeze at in the 1930s.
It's such a light ride. With the 7-speed transmission, you can drive it at 2,000 revs from dawn till dusk, as long as you want. Bear in mind, this is a heavy car. It weighs 5 tons. And Maybachs feature the latest technology. They've always been on the innovative side and are still astonishingly modern.
Back in 1930, decades before modern sports cars, the Maybach was fitted with a steering wheel shift paddle to change gears, without the need for a clutch pedal, a cutting-edge feature invented by Wilhelm Maybach and his son, Karl. The two engineers were determined to take the automobile to a new level. They produced 1,800 vehicles that were not just pricier than anything else on the market, but also superior. And some of them are still going strong.
It was my father's favorite car. When he was 88, he gave it to me as a birthday present. And the car's part of the family. A life without Maybach is unthinkable. I just enjoy going for a ride. We've been on a lot of lovely long trips in the Maybach, me and the whole family.
A ride in a Maybach is like a trip back in time. Thanks also to the wealth of amazing little accessories on board.
There's also a compartment for the records. That's from my father. The records would gradually slip out and get broken, but my father didn't mind. He just positioned the stylus a bit further from the edge.
The sound of the car is also music to Hermann Leyer's ears. And the engine is always a sight to behold.
They never made a car like the Maybach Zeppelin again. It's so ridiculously well designed. Always fascinating for an engineer like myself. Just look at this hatch. It has a spring, so it snaps to and stays closed. The hood alone cost a fortune. The hourly wage rates weren't that high back then, and they just maximized the work input.
Und die haben einfach das maximal Mögliche gemacht.
It's a legendary logo. Feels like shaking hands with Queen Elizabeth. The doors alone are a work of art. All in all, the sheer craftsmanship makes it art, which makes it expensive and hence luxurious. But not luxury just for the sake of it.
Helmut Hofmann was even inspired to set up a Maybach museum in Neumarkt, Bavaria, together with his wife. It boasts some of the car maker's most exquisite models, lovingly collected from all over the planet, and here presented to the public. The museum also tells visitors about the history of Maybach. It all began in Reutlingen, near Stuttgart, in 1867, when Wilhelm Maybach set out to invent the automobile, together with a certain Gottlieb Daimler.
Daimler's idea was for his engines to motorize the entire world. Wilhelm Maybach was in charge of the technical implementation. That development led to the French calling Wilhelm Maybach the king of constructors.
After Daimler died in 1900, Wilhelm Maybach initially quit automotive production. 9 years later, after a prototype of Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin's airship crashed, he offered to make new engines for the company. Soon, the gigantic aircraft were crossing Europe and later the Atlantic, powered by Maybach. The Zeppelin's precision engines would lay the foundations for Wilhelm Maybach's return to car production after the First World War, together with his son Karl. In 1921, they unveiled their first production car at the Berlin Motor Show, the W3.
Ultimately, the Maybach Motorenbau company only provided the chassis as such, so customers could choose their own coach. And since then, these vehicles are unmatched in beauty, dependability, and luxury. The buyers got absolutely and exactly what they wanted, a level of customization you can't imagine today.
Anna Hoffmann created the exhibition's design, but was also determined to include the stories behind the individual models on show. She put together a series of meticulously researched profiles of the Maybach owners. We researched the heritage of practically every single car. Who was the first owner? The stories are fascinating, including those of the people involved, as with this Zeppelin. It's an exclusive convertible version of the Maybach Zeppelin. Every winter, the owner used to drive from Venezuela to the Swiss ski resort of Gstaad.
The pure splendor you're presented with is not something you can just put in the corner and say, it's only a car. This is all pressed out of the one sheet of metal and continues down the hood. It tapers in, but is always symmetrical and comes to a point behind the radiator cap and emblem. Just incredible. And the door handle is pure Art Deco. You take hold of it and push down. Sitting here, you do feel a bit like the Lord above us. You look out ahead and see the 12 and the double M and this imposing but beautiful hood.
The irony is that the cars were engineered by two men who never set out to produce luxury items. They were driven above all by the wish to build the best engine possible.
Wilhelm Maybach was an orphan. And when you're brought up in an orphanage, you're probably averse to things like caviar, champagne, and hedonism. And Karl Maybach said, instead of messing around, design engines. So they pretty much had it in their blood, that people are born to work. You could call that typically German, but even so.
In 1941, car production at Maybach came to an end. After the Second World War, the factory in Friedrichshafen built propulsion systems primarily intended for trains and ships. In 1960, the company was bought by Daimler Benz, but it would be a further 4 decades until the brand was relaunched. And this is the man who effectively gave Maybach a new lease of life.
In
1997, me and my team from R&D were asked to imagine what the absolute pinnacle of automotive design could look like. We gave it a lot of thought and wanted to create a vehicle that just exuded absolute calm. We wanted the interior to smell like a forest everything luxurious and just like a dream. We built a prototype and presented it in Tokyo in 1997. It went down really well, and with our bosses too. And that's how the Maybach project came about.
The fruits of their labour, the super long Maybach 62, as well as the slightly shorter 57 model. Ron Bussink from the Netherlands is the top Maybach customer in company history. His company has designed gigantic Ferris wheels for clients all around the world, and he's the proud owner of no less than 65 modern Maybachs.
Real engineers, they know it. This is absolutely the ultimate car ever developed, ever built, and it will not happen again. It's my office, it's my home, it's everything. I mean, to sit in the back, that's the pole position in the car. Paint glasses are at the back, and you lock them. If you have to do some work, you have your private work table. And if you want to have privacy, you can dim it. Oh yeah, we can close the curtains and open it here in the back. We have in the rear. Then we have a special panoramic roof here, which has we can open for daylight. We have a reclining seat. It's so nice inside. So the negative thing on the Maybach is when the journey comes to an end. It's a very special car, and we find out that the owners are even more special than the car. Yeah, everybody has a different background with a tremendous history, and that's why we decided to found the Maybach V12 Owners Circle for people who have the Maybach V12. That there is a place they can get together, that there is a home, and that's why the Maybach House was created, to be a home for the Maybach owners.
And this is effectively the clubhouse for the V12 Circle in the Swiss town of Appenzell. The club itself brings together Maybach V12 owners from the brand's global clientele, regardless of which model year. And they meet regularly at exclusive events hosted around the world.
It's a friendship with these people because they're all so passionate, and you really share something together. And South Africa, Australia, United States, Brazil, because Maybach was everywhere. Russia, I mean, for everybody, it was something special. Japan, Korea. China is a little bit more complicated because in the beginning it was not so easy to import these cars. The real Maybach, as we call it, the Maybach manufacturer, are still in China very rare.
Ron Bussink is a key mover and shaker in the owner network. He's currently discussing plans with South African Maybach driver Peter Wales.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
We're calling live from the Maybach House in Appenzell, where you are a member of our Maybach V12 Circle.
No, it's amazing, that you guys host all these amazing events all over the world. I can't get to all of them. I'm not quite retired yet, but you never know. Once I'm retired, maybe then I can join more of them.
What are your plans with us?
Well, if possible, Ron, it would be great. I love the Mille Miglia in Italy. I've done it 3 times. It's a really amazing race.
Maybach's 57S doing the first time the Mille Miglia.
Well, it's an all-rounder. The performance, the suspension, everything. It's just very smooth, and I think it's these days. I think, Ron, they're mostly hand-built, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, the engine is hand-built, but I think the body. But they're amazing cars.
Yeah.
I don't drive it every day, but I mean, it's an amazing vehicle.
Lining up at the legendary Mille Miglia Vintage Car Rally in a Maybach sounds like a lot of fun, not least because of the 600 horsepower generated by the 12-cylinder engine.
You don't need to be the fastest car, but you want the power to be there when you need it. Driving is also funny, especially when you have a very powerful car and he listens very well, and You go full torque, you don't even hear the engine. It's fun.
3,000 units of the 57 and 62 models left the factory before Mercedes suddenly ceased Maybach production in 2014. But 2 years later, the car giant decided that the illustrious brand name, at least, would not be discontinued. And since then, the top-of-the-line editions of the Mercedes S-Class have borne the name Maybach. A development that has, however, left dyed-in-the-wool Maybach fans with mixed feelings.
The people who own the real Maybach, they will not easily buy a Mercedes S Maybach because there is no need for it, because the car is still so good.
Sorry, but we're another notch up from that. Fact is, building a car with this kind of individuality is simply no longer possible.
And Paris-Dakar winner and all-round car expert Jutta Kleinschmidt is eager to see whether the Maybach name still stands for perfect engineering.
612 horsepower, 900 Newton meter. And now we want to see if this is really the best car of the world. And now I will try to accelerate to the maximum speed. Let's see what it is. 190, 200, 220, 230, 240. Oh, now it's restricted. But 253, not too bad. So let's try emergency braking now. Whoa, what a ride! So now, after all this fast driving, I really need to relax. And this car is perfect for this. There's a massage I can use.
Yes, the rear seats feature a massage function. A luxury also appreciated by the world-beating motorsports pro when she has the rare opportunity to be a backseat driver.
Let's go. I think this is not made for high heels. Yeah, now it works. It's only a little bit slow. That's a little bit difficult for race drivers. It takes 10 seconds until you start, but now it's comfortable. It's not the normal position to sit in the back of a car, but it's very comfortable.
But at the end of the day, there's only one place where the racing ace really feels comfortable: behind the wheel of the Maybach.
That was a lot of fun to drive this car fast. So many specials, so many safety aspects in this car. Unbelievable. And you can see this car is really a masterpiece of engineering work.
A century of Maybach and of German engineering excellence.
It's absolutely the best car ever built in the world. Even when the design and the technology is already almost 20 years ago, it was still not beaten by any other car brand or make.
Absolute perfection, from the engineering down to the design.
It's just so sensual. And it just keeps on running. What a monster. That's why Maybach is the best car on the planet.
Maybach, a car that represents a very special brand of luxury.
I like luxury. Time is the ultimate luxury, which you feel an extra bit more in a Maybach. Time in a Maybach is never time wasted. It's not just the driving experience or the engineering. You can leave normal life behind you. When I'm in this old car, I can use the time to get my thoughts in order and let my mind flow freely.
Alten Auto fahren.
Maybach is a way of life, 100 years old, but with an immortal legacy.